So today we're going to be doing a challenging pedal. This is a challenge for a lot of people to use. I'm going to be talking about the really amazingly beautiful and very interesting sounding plasma pedal. This is by Gamechanger Audio. Gamechanger Audio is a very interesting company out of Europe. They developed the Plus pedal, which is like the piano sustain pedal, but for us. Very cool. Definitely worth checking out. Their second pedal that they ever put out is the one that you see here, the plasma pedal. And as you can read, it is a high voltage distortion unit. Already this spells trouble for horn players. Distortion and fuzz and drive are extremely difficult to use in live settings because you're inevitably going to be using a microphone, and EQ can be a real difficulty, and feedback is an issue, right? EQ can help manage feedback and stop it, but with something that is self-professed as high gain, high voltage, therefore high gain, you're going to have trouble with feedback with this pedal. So right off the bat, this can be a real challenge. Now, if you have something like the Intramic or a pickup or something like that where there is no external sound getting in, you won't have that issue nearly as much, if at all. So just beware, using this pedal, feedback is going to be something you're going to have to learn how to deal with. And by deal with, I mean solve, not just live with it. So, as you can see, there's 5 knobs on the pedal. There's also a switch on the back that allows you to clean up the EQ, meaning that you have a little bit slightly different EQ profile. So the 5 knobs are blend, self-explanatory, right? How much of the crunchy, distorted signal are you going to have in there? Then you have, on the other side, drive, which is the amount of drive that you're going to have. Voltage is the amount of kind of crunch and... Sorry, that's not drive on mine. It is volume. So the drive pedal in the newer versions is actually just the volume, which is the out. Then you have voltage in the middle, which is the actual gain, which is the distortion, how much distortion you're getting, and then a low frequency and a high frequency knob. So I'm going to turn the blend all the way on so you can hear the distorted signal. I'm going to put the voltage right now to 12 o'clock, and the volume will be where it needs, and I'm going to have the low frequency and the high frequency at noon, and the clean EQ off. And it sounds like this. So that is the kind of distortion you're getting. It's a very kind of fuzzy, electric-y, strange sounding distortion, inconsistent in its saturation. If we turn the voltage down, you'll hear a little bit more of the bare bones of it. So here comes the voltage knob, that middle knob, at 9 o'clock. So that's a little bit less aggressive. Let's turn the voltage back up to noon and take the drive down to about 2 o'clock and hear what that sounds. Sorry, not the drive, the blend down to 2 o'clock. So your blend is at 2, the voltage is at noon. So you can hear that this is quite a unruly sounding pedal. It's pretty nuts. Let's see how nuts we can make it. I'm gonna turn the voltage all the way up, turn the blend all the way back to full. So this is like super nuts territory. Really intense, but a lot of fun. Now, and then that can happen. So this is a really volatile pedal. So here's something that you gotta know. The low frequency on this will cause it to sound muddier. I'll show you what I mean. Right now, the both frequency knobs are at the 12 o'clock position. Here is 3 o'clock with the low frequency. And then here it is at 9 o'clock. Now that does kind of sound thin and stale comparatively, so if you add in just a little bit more of the low frequency, maybe take it to 11 o'clock, 10:30, something like that, that might be a nice blend. So now let's take the high frequency and see what happens when we increase that. So high frequency is now at 3 o'clock. So that's interesting. I think that we need a little bit less of that as well. Let's take it to 1 o'clock. Alright, so now that we have the EQ dialed in kind of nice, let's check out how adding more voltage will be. This is 2 o'clock on the voltage. So it's starting to get a little rough, a little messy, which might be good, but if we want to keep ourselves a little more in control, let's dial it back, put the voltage back at noon. So we've got some pretty cool stuff going on with this pedal. Now just to see, I'm going to turn the clean EQ on, and we'll hear the difference. It just sounds a tiny bit more tight and controlled. And so what you've come to learn about this pedal through me kind of futzing with it is that you're not really trying to get an ideal sound when you're fooling around with this pedal. It's more that you are trying to get an ideal level of usable control. Because if you let the pedal get out of hand, it will be very much out of hand and may obscure even the notes that you're playing. It's a very intense pedal. It is also worth noting that you see the light in the middle of the pedal. There is a vacuum tube in there filled with, I forget which gas, and that actually like lights up and is what's creating some of the distortion, and so you can see the electricity creating the distortion. It's really, really cool. So let's just try and find a nice sound to try a couple things with. So my low frequency is at around 11 o'clock, my high frequency is at around 1, voltage is at noon, and I've dialed back the blend to about 315. So here's what I want to do. I want to show you how we can actually use this in a less aggressive context, because obviously using this with some sort of aggressive rock or heavy music makes a lot of sense. You can do kind of chugging hardcore lines, you can sound like a guitar, a lot of stuff that comes to mind, but how could we use this sound in a more quiet, subtle place? So let's see if I can find some chill stuff from Chase Jackson to try this out. so if you throw a little bit of delay on it, all of a sudden it can become a little bit lush. It's almost even synth-like. Let's turn the voltage down and see what that does. So that gives it a little bit more of a subtle kind of edge to it, rather than kind of domineering aggression. So let's see how else this can be used. So the plasma pedal, an aggressive, really intense pedal, obviously very usable in rock and roll settings if you can manage to keep it wrangled, keep it in check, because it can really get away from you. But its aggression can be put to good use in more lush, ethereal type of settings if you use the right stuff with it. So yeah, that is the plasma pedal by Gamechanger Audio.